It's weird. So what? I only 3 days of school this year. Yeah. But I'd rather be. Willie said there's already a video.
Here's the thing. There's not.
I know it's combined with this
But
video.
I would. Did you take it?
Yeah, Willie's photo editor. So I want to be video. I want to be co-editor. Yeah, I want to be video editor.
Hello, 3 viewers. This is Madamoul. Welcome to the Labor Day protest live stream. I'm going to be a little quieter than usual for the start here until more people join and the march starts off proper. But just quickly, we're here at Parc des Faubourgs in Montreal. It's a Labor Day demonstration slated to start around 6 o'clock. Which usually means about 6:15, 6:30. But I'm going live now because we do have some drummers on site who have started playing, which is usually an indication things are going to get underway soon. We've got a few hundred people here. We do have a contingent from the International Workers of the World, some communist flags and different union flags. Lots of police on site already. There are multiple vans that are carrying riot police officers, some bike cops, and other officers walking around. There were some police mediators that were walking amongst the crowd a little bit earlier, talking to people, having some conversations, and it seemed to be going okay. There were definitely some people, from what I overheard, saying to the police that they were just, they just wanted the liberty to speak out and to march today without having the riot police interfere and react in a forceful way. But as always, we'll see how that ends up going, because we do have a good number of people here, and we also have a good number of riot police. So depending on the mood and the behavior, we'll see what happens. And there are pretty much police officers and vehicles surrounding the park that we're in right now on the 4 corners. Mr. Orbit, good to see you in the stream again. Welcome. I missed you. If somebody can give me a quick confirmation that audio and video is working properly, it would be much appreciated. Most of the people who are here right now seem to be in their 20s and 30s. There are a couple of families here, so parents and their kids. But the vast majority appears to be sort of university-aged students. So this gives you a better idea of how many people we've got here. Mr. Orbit, thank you for the confirmation on audio and visual quality. So there is a little bit of chanting starting from inside the crowd, so things should be underway shortly. So as always, for continuing coverage, and I say continuing coverage because it sounds like, from what the different student and labor unions have said, that it's going to be an eventful fall in terms of strike action and protests in the street. So keep an eye on this stream. Follow me on Twitter. The handle is inside the stream title at Madamo. Check out the linknewspaper.ca and 99media.org. That's where my work is featured, and both of these outlets will be providing a lot of coverage, including my own, as events unfold this fall. As always, questions, comments, anything you'd like to say about the events taking place, don't be shy. Put it in the chat in the social stream. I am having a look and will do my best to answer in a prompt manner in any way I can. I've got a comment here from Rob Tomorrow saying it seems like a long time since I've streamed. Yeah, it has been actually. The last time I went live would have been for the Montreal Gay Pride Parade in mid-August. There weren't a lot of demonstrations this summer. There were a handful, but things definitely simmered down during the summer in Montreal. My guess is that's because the different unions and organizations and groups of protesters were sort of laying low over the summer and sort of reconvening and trying to figure out what their strategy was going to be for the fall, for sort of general strike activity. But yeah, things quieted down in the summer. I was still active journalistically at the linknewspaper.ca. I did somehow, don't ask me why, but I managed to get into Stephen Harper's campaign kickoff in Montreal to cover that, and that was certainly an interesting experience. Funny thing about that is that I had actually gotten in touch with the Conservative Party and asked for accreditation to get into the event, and told them that I was going to be covering it for the Link newspaper at Concordia University. So I was very upfront about that, and when I actually arrived on scene at the media table, they were about to turn me away because apparently the Conservative government, the Conservative Party, has a policy that they do not allow student journalists into their events. And after some polite protesting, I mentioned that I had been in contact with some communications people and that they had okayed it. And after about an hour of waiting, they did eventually let me get in, but they did say as a caveat that it was going to be an exception. So that's certainly interesting, and I am very keen to try to get into some Liberal and NDP and Green events to see how they respond to a student journalist trying to get into to one of their events. Yeah, Rob Tomorrow saying that things quieted down in the U.S. over the summer as well. Yeah, that's the impression I got, except for the sort of more recent stuff that was happening with the Black Lives Matter movement. There was definitely a little bit of a flare-up a few weeks ago. So I'm very interested to see if anything else happens with that, because I get the sense that the American mass media, commercial media, is getting much more clued into these kinds of issues about sort of the killing of unarmed black people by police in the U.S. And the foreign press as well. The Guardian's been doing a lot covering this issue, so I'd be quite surprised if that doesn't keep being a topic of discussion. So like I said earlier, some chants starting up, some horns being blown, and the protest, the march, should be getting underway quite soon. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a lot of riot police on the scene. I count about 1.5 dozen riot police officers in the park right now, and there are some vans and vehicles standing by with more. Yeah, Mr. Orbit saying that there's some stuff happening in the UK as well, sort of a pressure cooker environment at the moment. Yeah, Europe, some stuff going on there, to say the least. The sort of migrant crisis, the refugee crisis, is continuing to develop, and it's interesting to see how people are starting to get clued into this. Personally, I think it's well, I don't know what I'd call it, but you had plenty of pictures coming out of, specifically pictures of dead children who had drowned washing up on beaches, and that didn't seem to spark public outcry quite like that one particular image, the now infamous image of the young Syrian boy, I believe it was. So yeah, all of Europe kind of on edge right now. I should mention as well, some people had asked if I was less active with the live streams over the summer because of an event on July 24th in which I was detained and ticketed by a police officer while covering a protest. And no, that wasn't a factor at all. Really, it's just that there wasn't as much to cover. And that situation where I was detained, nothing serious happened. I was given about a $500 ticket under Quebec's Highway Safety Code, which I am contesting, and that's it's a matter for the courts now. So kind of waiting on that, but I'm quite confident that I can get it thrown out, since I was not participating in the demonstration and was covering it as a journalist with credentials. So more on that. I will keep you updated as there are developments. So it appears that the march is getting underway. This is the start of an abrupt start. People are jogging to catch up. But that's liftoff, people. And the riot police are walking in tow. There are police moderators, police mediators on the ground, as well as police officers and riot police. So there's a police blockade halfway down this street, so it appears that people are going to be turning around, but there is a group at the front that's saying, no, let's keep going. Advance, we're not going back, is what they're saying. So I was actually speculating with a fellow journalist earlier that we might have a start reminiscent of May Day last year in Montreal, this is exactly what happened. The march started very, very quickly, and then the original route was blocked off by riot police. So it seems that the elements of the march that were wanting to stand their ground have turned back towards the rest of the group. So we do have police officers on bikes and motorcycles who are mobilizing behind us, going around the crowd on other streets to catch up with them. So to estimate, I'd say we've got roughly maybe 300 people currently marching. Currently marching down Ontario on the intersection of Cartier. Riot police officers are on the scene with their shields out, blocking access to certain streets. So a little bit of a false start for this Labor Day demonstration in Montreal. The crowd attempted to go down a certain street and riot police blockade turned them back, and we've now been redirected to march down Ontario, coming up to the intersection of Ontario and Papineau. As always, quite a bit of independent and citizen journalists and student journalists out this evening. I haven't seen any members of the mainstream press, but I'm sure there might be some of them. I'll repeat, as always, questions, comments, or anything you'd like to say about tonight's events, feel free to share them in the chat and the social stream. I'll be keeping an eye on those and responding as quickly as possible. To the best of my ability, of course. Taking a right on Champlain off of Ontario. There seems to be a group of people who are saying to cross this parking lot over here to try to throw the police off, and other calls to stay grouped together. And I think that, yeah, the winds are prevailing towards people cutting across this parking lot to throw the police off. So yeah, the majority of the group, if not all of it, has followed the lead of the protesters who want to cut across the street and try to throw off the police. Originally going down Champlain off of Ontario, now heading back towards Ontario. Police officers on bikes are remobilizing to catch up. A lot of police officers in the distance are trying to get ahead of the crowd as it continues down Ontario. It does appear that the crowd this evening does have the intention of bypassing some of the police blockades so that they're not funneled through the path that the police would rather them take. The riot police officers are moving a little bit more quickly to try and catch up with the crowd. I'm gonna run a little bit and catch up. impassioned and angry slogans being called right now. People seem to be quite riled up this evening. So yeah, spirits are quite high this evening on the part of the protesters. They're quite loud and quite impassioned in their chanting. Very energetic. Here, I'll answer Jones 1963. Welcome back. Question here: did I ever fight the ticket that I got, and did I win? So as I was describing earlier, I was detained and given a ticket while covering a protest at the end of July. It's been contested, and I've received a letter from the City of Montreal saying that it'll have to go to court. So still waiting on that date and to see what comes of it. Mr. Orban pointing out that it seems to be a good turnout. How many people would I say are here? I say somewhere in the neighborhood of three or 400 as of right now. 300 or 400, but that's just an estimate. So the usual police tactic is being employed this evening, where the riot police officers are flanking the group, marching in the street on both sides of the sidewalk. You've got some here, and you've got some on the other sidewalk there. Calls right now for unlimited general strike. There will be some general assemblies coming up on the matter of student strikes in Montreal's universities and all over Quebec, I'm sure as well. So we continue to approach the downtown core of Montreal, walking down Ontario Street. We have some police officers on bicycles who are trying to mobilize around the group. Coming up on the intersection of Ontario and Amherst. So I'm just at the front of the crowd right now. We'll see how the protesters continue on their path and how the police respond.
Democracy looks like
officers on bikes continue to ask people to move off the sidewalk to allow them to pass. Coming up to Ontario and Saint Timothée. So you've got about a half dozen riot police officers who are blocking access to most of the intersections that we're coming across here. Possible that the riot police officers here have been ordered to try and block off access or to just get ahead of the protesters here, but they are jogging ahead. Police officers on bikes as well. And the protesters are continuing down Ontario past Saint-André. Chant being called out right now. Police everywhere, justice nowhere.
Corridor down Ontario Street. Let's deviate up any of the side streets.
Worth noting that there are some protesters who are wearing masks and covering their faces in defiance of Montreal's P6 bylaw, which prohibits that from happening. I'll do the quick plug again. Check me out on Twitter @Madamour. The Twitter handle is in the title of the stream, and check out the linknewspaper.ca and 99media.org for more coverage. So we're coming up now to the intersection of Ontario and Saint-Hubert, and we do have riot police officers who have put up a blockade, and they appear to want the protest to take a left onto Saint-Hubert.
une veste, on avait besoin d'une.
So we are moving down Saint-Hubert towards Place Émilie Gamelin at Barrie Metro, which is the usual starting point for student protests when those are more active. And my suspicion is that I'll be spending quite a bit of time there in the coming months. So for a little bit of context about the demonstration today, this is sort of being billed as the unofficial start of what's being billed as a hot fall, an automne chaud, which basically alludes to the fact that there's going to be a lot of strike activities from student and labor unions, and this is sort of the starting gun, if you will. So I revised my estimate a little bit. I think we might have roughly 500 people here right now. So it is a good turnout. Suzy Q2288, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. We do have what appears to be a group of tourists coming out of a hotel here to see what the commotion is all about. And please note that we are moving towards St. Catherine Street, which is the main street that runs along the downtown core of Montreal. So we'll see if the police allow them to get that close. So I do see quite a few police lights off in the distance near St. Catherine Street on the intersection with the street we're on right now. So we'll see if the protesters try to get past it or move along in another direction. So we've got quite a few police officers here on the intersection of Saint-Hubert and de Maisonneuve. Riot police officers continue to flank the group on either side. Suzy Q2288 asking how to tag this on Twitter. I would recommend, you'll notice in the title of this stream, it's hashtag MANIFENCOURS, which is French for there's a demonstration in progress. So that's usually the hashtag, but there's also hashtag Labor Day, since this is a Labor Day themed demonstration. Chaos for the Fly saying thanks for streaming. It's my pleasure. Thanks for watching. And we do have some riot police officers with projectile weapons for launching tear gas and rubber bullets. But so far, nothing like that this evening. A few confrontations between some more lively protesters and police blockades, but nothing coming to blows. So we are now in Place Émilie Gamelin, which, as I said earlier, is the usual meeting point for student and anti-austerity demonstrations. This one didn't start here, but it has ended up here. So This is St. Catherine Street here, the main artery that runs along the downtown core of Montreal, and it appears that protesters are moving in the direction of this street. And I do see a police blockade here on the intersection of Barrie and St. Catherine. So the protesters appear to be deviating and perhaps moving up Barrie towards the Maisonneuve, so they've circled around the square, but I think that's yet to be decided. Yeah, it has come to a standstill for now while the group decides its next path. But we do have heavy blockades in that direction on the intersection of the Maisonneuve and Barrie and St. Catherine and Barrie. So the police message with their placement right now is very clear that they don't want the protesters continuing down St. Catherine from either intersection. You can overhear some of the protesters strategizing and trying to figure out if there's a small opening in the blockades where they might squeeze past and continue on St. Catherine. Okay, so things have quieted down a little bit, and some of the protesters are calling people along to try and move down St. Catherine, and I do see a riot police officer who's trying to block off access, but right now there's only one of them, and the protesters are continuing. So that battle's been lost. The police officers with riot shields are continuing to try and block off certain access, but a lot of people have already gone through. So there's another riot police officer who moved in and said, "You can't move this way." So we have about a dozen or two people who did get past the riot police blockade, and they were chased off by riot police officers with their batons. So the majority of the group is still behind the police blockade here on the intersection of Barrie and St. Catherine. L'autre côté? Oui. C'est bon. Asked by a riot police officer to move to the other side of the street, which I am doing right now. That's not worth getting into those arguments, but I can still get a good view from here. So things are eerily quiet right now as the majority of the group tries to figure out which direction to take afterwards. So what we just saw was a group of a dozen or more protesters try to dash past a police blockade. Some of them got through, but most of the people who tried to get through were chased back into this behind this blockade by police officers with batons.
C'est un problème majeur. Avec tous les centres de réadaptation qui sont fermés.
And we've got a couple of people who are calling for people to try and move past the blockade.
Hi, Jay. Hi. We're here. Join the other side.
Join the private side.
Ah, ben c'est bon, on a des messieurs des deux bords.
So I'm going to try to cross the street here and rejoin the bulk of the group. C'est pour la fête du travail, anti-austérité. Austérité.
C'est quoi exactement?
C'est des coupures aux services sociaux.
Ah, les coupures pour le service social.
C'est ça, oui.
Ok, c'est rendu épouvantable. Ah, c'est du stock, mais...
Okay, so I've moved past the police blockade and I'm back with the group. There are some protesters who appear to be trying to move towards the entrance of the metro system here, but there are police officers who are blocking access. So right now, the protest has been blockaded on the intersections of the Maisonneuve and Barry, St. Catherine and Barry, and the access to the metro has been blocked as well. So a lot of people are trying to get onto the metro, which once that happens, it becomes a lot harder for the police to manage. So if the majority of the people end up getting on the metro, I'll get on as well. It's possible. There is a limited internet access at certain stations, so it's possible the stream will continue. If it does not, it might cut out, and I'll be back as shortly as possible. I'm still just trying to get a sense of whether the majority of the protesters are entering the metro system or not. So the riot police officers are entering the metro as well, so it seems they want to follow the path of the protesters who entered.
I wish I could join in. I have some folks.
So just going back here and checking to see how many people we have left on the street. So yeah, it appears that a lot of people, maybe about half of the group, has entered the metro system. So I don't know. We'll see. There's still quite a few people outdoors, so I'm going to remain here. Yeah, I'd say there's probably overall more people who remained here than entered the metro system. So it's possible that the group that entered the metro is going to get off at another station, and there will be a call for the two groups to reconvene into one. Je sais pas. So that seems to have been the impetus for things flaring up today. We had some protesters who tried to get past the riot police blockade there on the intersection of Barry and St. Catherine. A handful, about a dozen, got through and ran off. But those who tried to follow their lead were chased off by police officers who took their batons out, and there was some pushing and shoving involved on the part of the police. So right now things are at a standstill. There are police blockades and a presence at every intersection within eyesight. People right now standing around waiting to see what the next move is for the crowd and the police officers. There appears to be a group here that wants things to continue up Barry. We'll see if that comes to fruition shortly. So people here appear to be discussing, strategizing, see what the next move is. Maybe waiting to hear back from the group that entered the metro to see where they got off and maybe try to rejoin some of their comrades. So in the interim, while we wait to see what the next move is, I'll do the occasional plug. Follow me on Twitter @Madamour. The handle is in the title of this stream. And check out the linknewspaper.ca and 99media.org for continuing coverage of the strike and anti-austerity movement in Montreal in the coming weeks. I see a number of police officers, bike cops, moving past the line, so it does seem that the police are taking a few of their people out of play since the number has gone down here and the protest has been split up. But the blockade remains. And we have calls from the riot police to move onto the sidewalk for this group.
Okay, right?
On va rouvrir la rue.
Are you gonna jump the metro? Not yet.
Not quite yet, no. So the numbers out here have dwindled down. I'm going to get into the metro and see if the riot police officers attempted to detain any of the protesters who entered the metro. So we still have some police officers who are standing guard here at the metro entrance. Just as a note, the stream might cut off due to limited internet access, but it might not. But if it goes down, I will come back as quickly as possible. Coming up to the turnstile shortly, so we'll see if there is a group that remained or if they all got on the subway cars. So there's a small group of young people here who appear to have been part of the original protest, but for the most part, there aren't really a lot of people. The riot police isn't here, so I'm assuming that they went in the direction of the remaining protesters. On y va? All right. So let's get on the subway, see if we can catch up with anybody. No, I got it. All right, so. So the internet connection appears to be holding up. If it cuts out, you know why. So I do see a few riot police officers here. So a couple of people here having a hunch that people have moved in this direction. But we do have a couple of riot police officers standing guard.
It's a journalist hunch. journalists.
Yeah, so there seems to have been a general dispersion here. So yeah, definitely some familiar faces here on the platform. Some of the people who were in the protest moved down here. Some are on other platforms headed for other directions. But for the most part, it isn't a cohesive group. Bonjour. How's it going? Where are you going?
Oh, are you still live streaming?
Yep.
Cool. I think we're going with the crowd.
Which crowd?
Those guys.
And I think this is the
I know where we're going.
Yeah, I think it's done.
I think it's done?
I think it's done.
When you've got sub 20 people.
But they could have. I wonder if the earlier group helped the train there. Because we're
Possibly.
missing some key people that I know would be going there right now.
Yeah. Have you overheard anything?
I heard they're going to Montana. But I missed it.
Yeah, so there's some discussion right now concerning whether or not some key people are moving on to another metro station to reconvene. But as of right now, I'm getting the sense that this has died down. So I don't think I'm going to be following. Usually when it's 20 or less in terms of protesters, that's usually calling it a night. So that means that I'm probably going to be calling it soon. If there are any last-minute questions or comments, anything you have to say about the protest this evening, put your comments in the stream right now. Yeah, there aren't more than about 20 people who seem to be moving along now, so I'm going to be calling it a night. Yeah, questions, comments, anything you'd like me to add or address before I cut off the stream, go ahead. I'll do a quick recap of the evening's events as they happened so far. We had a group of about 300 to 400 people who started marching from Parc des Faubourgs near Papineau Metro in Montreal. That group set off towards the downtown core and was eventually greeted by more people, so I'd say at the height the group was probably made up of about 500 people. And eventually at Place Amélie-Gamelin, on the major intersections of Barrie and St. Catherine Street, some people tried to get past to continue down St. Catherine, and most were pushed back, and a lot of people got into the metro system to get away from the police. And right now it appears that people have generally dispersed, so I feel confident saying that the MANIFENCOURS, the demonstration, is over. I'll wait around for a few minutes and see if there are any last-minute questions or comments, and I'll do my best to answer them or address them. It is very, very hot in Montreal. I think with the humidity it was about 40 degrees Celsius today, and I'm sweating like a pig. All right, we got some thank yous coming in. Thank you very much for following. And as I was saying earlier, I think there are going to be a lot of these streams coming up in the next few weeks and months. It's sort of a tumultuous time in Quebec and Montreal right now. There's a sort of call to arms to revive the anti-austerity movement and to participate in general strike activity, both in the labor movement and the student movement. There is a federal election coming up in Canada, which I'm sure there will be protests related to that. Question here, do protests generally survive a metro diversion? I would say usually not, and what element of it does survive is very limited. You usually have maybe a handful of people, a dozen or two, but I have personally never seen a group of 300 or 400 people in a march enter the metro system and remain undivided. If that were the case, I'm pretty sure instances where there have been more than a few people entering, the riot police come in and sort of divide people across different cars and platforms, or detain them so that it doesn't spill out into the metro network. So the short answer is no. Generally speaking, protests don't survive a metro diversion. Good question. Thank you. I'll wait another minute or two, see if there are any questions or comments. So, last minute plugs. Follow me on Twitter, @MattDamour. The Twitter handle is in the title of this stream. Check out thelinknewspaper.ca, the home for my reporting, and 99media.org. Both outlets are going to be covering a lot of strike activity this fall. And hey, check out my website, mattdamour.com. Same spelling as the Twitter handle, .com. I've got a lot of stuff going up there as well. So yeah, I'm going to call it an evening. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you are excellent stream viewers, and I will continue to do my best to provide good coverage in the weeks to come. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.